Hello students, today let us deal with the B reading of Unit 1. Every success story is also a story of great failures. But before we start reading the lesson, it is important that we know something about the author of this particular text. The author of this text is Shiv Khera. He is the author of many self-help books that have motivated many readers. You might have heard about the book You Can Win. He is the author of this famous book that has motivated millions of people to achieve success in their life. This particular excerpt from his book gives us some examples about the life stories of some of the great personalities who tasted failures before achieving success. The only difference is that they considered setbacks, failures, as opportunities to learn lessons from them, and finally they achieved success. How many of us take failures in the right spirit? How many of us give up after failing once? How many of us keep whining over defeats? If you are one of them, this text is for you. So, shall we start? Now, as you know, the title is Every Success Story is also a story of great failures. In this lesson, you will come across two words very frequently. One is success and the other is failure. They are the antonyms of each other. But if one takes them in the right spirit, they will realize by the end of this lesson that failures are indeed the stepping stones to success. Before we start reading the lesson, let us know the meaning of some important words that you are going to come across while reading the lesson. Overcome. To succeed in dealing with something, especially something that is unpleasant. Attorney, lawyer. Fraudulent, dishonest. Humiliate. To humiliate someone is to make someone ashamed or to insult someone. Editorial. An article in a publication with the editor's opinion. Infested. To be present in large numbers. Formal, official. Disaster. An unexpected event causing great loss. Fired. Here, the word fired has nothing to do with fire. Fired means to dismiss someone from a job. Fired, dismissed from a job. Inevitable. Impossible to prevent or impossible to be prevented. Humility. Freedom from pride or someone who is not proud. Grief, suffering or hardship. Stumble, to fall. Conceive, to develop an idea or to understand. Gasp, to breathe heavily or laboriously. Duck, to plunge someone forcibly under the surface of the water. Accomplishment, achievement. Dear children, you need to concentrate upon three important phrases that you are going to come across while reading the lesson. The first one is bounce back. It is an idiomatic expression. What is an idiomatic expression? An idiomatic expression is something whose actual meaning is completely different from the literal meaning. For example, in the phrase bounce back, bounce means the actual meaning of bounce is to hit something and come back. But in the phrase bounce back, it has nothing to do with bouncing. So what is the meaning of the phrase bounce back? To bounce back is to recover from a setback. For example, Ramu bounced back with a victory after losing in the first two games. Second one, go up in smoke. Even this is an idiomatic expression. As I have already told you, an idiomatic expression is something whose actual meaning is completely different from the literal meaning. To go up in smoke has nothing to do with smoke or going. So what is the meaning of go up in smoke? To go up in smoke is to be ruined. Our plan to play cricket went up in smoke when it started to rain. Third one, beat up. The meaning of beat up is to be damaged or dilapidated. Dear students, let's start reading the lesson. Please do try to recollect the meanings of the words that we have discussed in the glossary while I am reading the lesson. Shall we start? Every success story is also a story of great failures. Failure is the highway to success. Tom Watson Sr. said, If you want to succeed, double your failure rate. If you study history, you will find that all stories of success are also stories of great failures. But people don't see the failures. They only see one side of the picture and they say that person got lucky. He must have been at the right place at the right time. Let me share someone's life history with you. This was a man who failed in business at the age of 21, was defeated in a legislative race at age 22, failed again in business at age 24, overcame the death of his sweetheart at age 26, had a nervous breakdown at age 27, lost a congressional race at age 34, lost a senatorial race at age 45, failed in an effort to become vice president at age 47, lost a senatorial race at age 49, and was elected President of the United States at age 52. This man was Abraham Lincoln. Would you call him a failure? He could have quit, but to Lincoln, defeat was a detour and not a dead end. In 1913, Lee D. Forrest, the inventor of the triodes tube, was charged by the district attorney for using fraudulent means to mislead the public into buying stocks of his company by claiming that he could transmit the human voice across the Atlantic. He was publicly humiliated. Can you imagine where we would be without his invention? A New York Times editorial on December 10, 1903 questioned the wisdom of the Wright brothers who were trying to invent a machine heavier than air that would fly. 1 week later, at Kitty Hawk, the Wright brothers took their famous flight. Colonel Sanders, at age 65, with a beat up car and $100 check from Social Security, realized he had to do something. He remembered his mother's recipe and went out selling. How many doors did he have to knock on before he got his first order? It is estimated that he had knocked on more than 1,000 doors before he got his first order. How many of us quit after 3 tries, 10 tries, 100 tries, and then we say we tried as hard as we could? As a young cartoonist, Walt Disney faced many rejections from newspaper editors who said he had no talent. One day, a minister at a church hired him to draw some cartoons. Disney was working out of a small mouse infested shed near the church. After seeing a small mouse, he was inspired. That was the start of Mickey Mouse. Successful people don't do great things, they only do small things in a great way. One day, a partially deaf 4-year-old kid came home with a note in his pocket from his teacher. Your Tommy is too stupid to learn. Get him out of the school. His mother read the note and answered, My Tommy is not stupid to learn. I will teach him myself. And that Tommy grew up to be the great Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison had only 3 months of formal schooling and he was partially deaf. Henry Ford forgot to put the reverse gear in the first car he made. Do you consider these people failures? They succeeded in spite of problems, not in the absence of them. But to the outside world, it appears as though they just got lucky. All success stories are stories of great failures. The only difference is that every time they failed, they bounced back. This is called failing forward rather than backward. You learn and move forward, learn from your failure, and keep moving. In 1914, Thomas Edison, at age 67, lost his factory, which was worth a few $1,000,000 on fire. It had very little insurance. No longer a young man, Edison watched his lifetime effort go up in smoke and said, There is great value in disaster. All our mistakes are burnt up. Thank God we can start anew. In spite of the disaster, 3 weeks later he invented the phonograph. What an attitude! Below are more examples of the failures of successful people. Thomas Edison failed approximately 10,000 times while he was working on the light bulb. Henry Ford was broke at the age of 40. Lee Iacocca was fired by Henry Ford too at the age of 54. Young Beethoven was told that he had no talent for music, but he gave some of the best music to the world. Setbacks are inevitable in life. A setback can act as a driving force and also teach us humility. In grief, you will find courage and faith to overcome the setback. We need to learn to become victors, not victims. Fear and doubt short circuit the mind. Ask yourself after every setback, what did I learn from this experience? Only then you will be able to turn a stumbling block into a stepping stone. The motivation to succeed comes from the burning desire to achieve a purpose. Napoleon Hill wrote, whatever the mind of a man can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. A young man asked Socrates the secret to success. Socrates told the young man to meet him near the river the next morning. They met. Socrates asked the young man to walk with him towards the river. When the water got up to their neck, Socrates took the young man by surprise and ducked him into the water. The boy struggled to get out, but Socrates was strong and kept him there until the boy started turning blue. Socrates pulled his head out of the water, and the first thing the young man did was to gasp and take a deep breath of air. Socrates asked, what did you want the most when you were there? The boy replied, air. Socrates said, that is the secret to success. When you want success as badly as you wanted the air, then you will get it. There is no other secret. A burning desire is the starting point of all accomplishments. Just like a small fire cannot give much heat, a weak desire cannot produce great results. Now let us see a beautiful poem written by Shiv Khera. If you think you are beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you like to win but think you can't, it's almost a cinch you won't. If you think you lose, you're lost. For out in the world we find success begins with a fellow's will. It's all in the state of mind. If you think you're outclassed, you are. You've got to think high to rise. You've got to be sure of yourself before you can ever win a prize. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger and faster man, but sooner or later the man who wins is the man who thinks he can.